everyone receive is a reflection of us.
Welcome. I have mentioned before in previous streams or audios that light cannot exist without the dark. Even for my own life experiences, that the struggles and all that we go through, it is difficult to maintain such positivity because we're not meant to be shining beacons of light all the time. We are to remain balanced, grounded. So I'd like to reiterate a few things because this segment of clarification around balance and darkness has meaning to come forth. So dive in with me as we begin. For light without its balance becomes blindness. Darkness without its balance becomes collapse. For balance is where the humans can breathe. You're not meant to be a beam of relentless radiance. We are meant to be a living rhythm, the ebbs and flows, the inhales and exhales, the expansions and the rest. Even stars themselves pulse, galaxies they cycle, and the sun has its quiet phases, as do we. We're not meant to hold light consistently. We're meant to conduct it. We are not a battery storing it. We are channels. And when you try to be positive all the time, we admittedly become two things. We resist our own human needs, and we disconnect from the natural cycle of things that keeps us creators, sane. For light moves. It is not meant to be held in one state. There's a reason we always feel burnt out, because we try to sustain a frequency instead of flowing with it in the natural forms of alchemy. Darkness itself isn't evil. It's rest, integration, and grounding. The world teaches us that the dark means negative, but in creation language, it was before any word was even spoken. Darkness is silence. It is soil, incubation. It is the place where seeds take root. So our darkness is not our enemy. It's our charging station. Too much light can overstimulate oneself, and too much darkness can immobilize. But balance gives you fluidity in motion. Your soul is playful, and playfulness lives in the shadows between the light. The places where you're not allowed to carry a worry at all. It's the places where we live in the world for moments. So it's okay to laugh at nothing and stupidity and do something silly to switch off that mission for just a while and be human. We're not abandoning the light when we rest. We are making sure we don't burn out before our mission is complete. We're just adjusting to the frequencies, you might say. For builders need breaks, architects need quiet, and healers need laughter. And we need support, and support needs us. So we give ourselves permission to be all of who we are, and not just part with the mission. The universe does not need a flawless leader. It needs authentic ones. So you could say that to maintain the higher frequency of life isn't about the actions that we do, within reason, of course. It is about how we see ourselves. Because our identity sets our vibration. If we believe that we are not enough, or that we must stay positive or we'll fall, or we shouldn't feel low or alone, or I have to be like this 24/7 to help others, then our frequency is constantly unstable because we're fighting ourselves. However, if we see the world and ourselves as I'm allowed to be human, my light flows, it doesn't have to shine constantly. My worth isn't seasonal. I am the creator even when I am tired. My frequency is who I am, not what I do. I am unafraid to make mistakes. This, then, is your vibration when it becomes stable, effortless, and self-regulating. You can think of it like architecture. Your belief about yourself is the foundation. Your actions are just the decor. A temple, for example, can have as many gold walls, crystals, incense, and chanting going on, but if the foundation is cracked, the structures collapse. This is the same for us humans. Our actions through meditation, service, creativity, and leadership, they are beautiful creatures indeed, but they are not what holds our frequency. What holds it is our own inner stance of ourself. How we speak to ourselves, how we interpret our feelings, how we allow our cycles, and how we treat our own mind. You don't maintain a high frequency by doing high frequency actions. You maintain it by not abandoning yourself when the frequency dips low. This is the difference between forced positivity, which fractures you, and embodied light, which sustains you. When you see yourself as someone who is allowed to be whole, light, shadow, rise, fall, laugh, cry, create, and rest. And just do things because your frequency will always remain steady. Because acceptance is a higher vibration than positivity. Self-respect is higher than effort. And self-trust is a higher vibration than any performance. So I'll bring myself and you back to my original question then. If the word was created by the word, then its existence is kept because we continually speak that word. Because if we are running around teaching others the script that we were taught, we enhance keep that story alive. But we're told that other races in the galactic world, our galaxy guardians, our space races, mainly use telepathy, or they sense by touch and vibration. So their communication and their understanding is not verbal. So would it be fair then to say that because we speak our languages, we are in essence keeping this fabrication of illusion alive? Well, our interpretation of reality is shaped by language. Reality itself is not created physically by language alone. The earth, nature, physics, these all existed long before humans have ever spoken languages. Our shared world, cultures and identities and belief systems and structures, these are all held in place by the stories we always continually teach and tell ourselves. What does this mean? It means that language shapes the world we experience, not the planet we live on. If other beings use telepathy and connection through touch and emotion and senses, then are we trapped in a language-based illusion? For telepathy as a concept symbolizes direct understanding without distortion. Language, on the other hand, shows us that our reality can be molded by interpretation, filters, cultural conditioning, labels, separation, and identity constructs. Therefore, language shapes the mental reality we live inside. And if you're following before, I did say that the mind is the matrix, or at least a part of it. So if the language is creating the reality we live inside, then these are the social conditionings created by the word. In a healthy, balanced interpretation, we are maintaining the human story, but not the earth. The illusion, as I see it, is the social systems, our political ideologies, our cultural myths, our self-definitions, our limitations, and the collective narratives we teach ourselves. These are all maintained through language, belief, repetition, and all of those. But the planet itself, biology, physics, and the natural laws, they don't depend on words. The illusion is conceptual, not existential. And this keeps us rooted in the truth, while still recognizing how powerful consciousness is. So language maintains its matrix of meaning. Belief maintains its identity, and story maintains society. And our perception, it maintains limitation. The illusion of the human interpretation of said reality is what occurs, not reality itself. So the story they keep telling us is the system of control, maintained through language, through narrative and belief. It's not a planet, it's not humanity or life, but a story we have been conditioned to live inside. And it reminds me of a movie called Inkheart with Brendan Fraser, where he was able to read characters to life from any story. And I like to imply that we live the stories we tell ourselves. I think we understand that Hollywood teaches us these things, shows us specific points. Whether they're good or bad is irrelevant in this situation, but we highlight those things to showcase to us. It might not be them, it might be the writer. How many people who read books get lost in the story because in their mind they're imagining the story, the characters, the locations. So the stories we teach ourselves, we can create. At least that's one of my interpretations anyway. So the people in power, the 1% you might say, they don't rule through force. Because force takes people, it takes power, it takes money, and has a whole lot can go wrong. They rule through narrative and story over centuries and decades and millennia of conditioning people. They don't need to hold physical power over 8 billion people. They just hold the narrative of money, of authority and scarcity, the narrative of fear, division, and this is just how the world works. See, any time that they create a story to say this is a lack of, I think diamonds are the classic example. Saying that it's a rarity, but in fact it is not. But because they have control of the system, people believe it. So these stories, they're maintained through family. I remember myself hearing, we have always done it this way. We've always heard it this way, so this is just the way it is. We hear it through media, education, politics, cultural norms, repetition, and fear-based messaging. However, it all dissolves when people stop repeating the story and start writing their own. And I wonder, what would people tell you today about what the word actually means to them? Is it a narrative, a belief, or maybe a shared story, perhaps? The ancients used words to symbolize the fundamental vibration of creation. In human society, the modern equivalent is, well, a shared narrative that people agree to live inside of. And if enough people stop speaking that narrative, it collapses. Just like when empires fall, when people stop believing in them. When currencies crash, when trust dissolves. Governments collapse when legitimacy evaporates. Power fades when the story holding it breaks. It could all be seen as magic and hearsay and luck, but it's not that. It's psychology. And I spoke previously about the balance between light and dark, and why this is important because, well, the narrative feeds on it. It feeds on the I'm powerless. That's just the system. Money controls everything. You have to obey. Nothing ever changes. The elites decide the future we live. Real change is impossible. These repeated beliefs form their vibration that maintains the old structure. And this is how mass control works. It doesn't always come from there. It comes from home. It comes from love, work, money. All of these different ideological views are the same but different struggles. So we all have something different. Some people struggle with money but are great with everything else. It's the same illusion entrapped in a different frequency to the same outcome. And if the narrative creates the control system, then surely a new narrative can dismantle it. It's like fighting fire with fire or using their own method against them. You don't have to have a revolution of violence. You just need a new story, a new language, a new self-perception, a new cultural belief system, a new vision of collective identity without the fear. Because the moment a new story is offered, the old one weakens. People start to question, then they start to see, then they start to feel, and then they start to refuse. And then they start to create, and therefore the old narrative, the one that they held up by repetition, begins to fall apart. And the reason why it's important to take that view is because when you fight the system with violence, it becomes a win-win for them. Because it's two wings to the same bird. You can follow it and believe it and trust the science, or you can be against it and fight and be aggressive towards it. But this is what they want. Because large systems benefit when people either obey passively or fight angrily without any strategy. Because both states of the same is reactive, it's predictable, it's easy to steer, it's fragmented, it's exhausted. It's like they know what it is, they expect it. They've fought centuries and millennia on the idea that people will fight back with violence, and they're prepared for it. It's the same bird, different wing concept I just mentioned. Because obedience feeds the system, and chaotic rebellion also feeds it. So the system change occurs when the people shift their mindset, not when they start choosing a side. The true escape is neither following the system or fighting it. It's creating something outside the system. For anger without direction, rebellion without structure, resistance without vision, protest without philosophy, these are all absorbed by the system and turned into noise. Without a new model, we fall back into voting for a lesser evil. We support the same structures but with different branding, and argue inside an already broken framework. This is why activism, in its essence, is just a part of the same cycle. I think lately we've seen activism does actually nothing. The current systems, they don't need to be liked or favored, and ever more present in today's politics and society. Nobody likes them anymore. And they don't need to be. They only need to be unquestioned. And you can see whenever any of these people in power or politics are questioned, they dance around it because they don't like it unless it's already scripted. Both blind support and blind opposition lack questioning. But questioning with clarity, that is what changes everything. The moment someone questions not the side, but the structure, the system loses its grip on humanity and reality therein. We are not here to fight the bird. We are here to build a new sky. So, is the control system kept alive by the language we speak? I asked of this. No? The control system is kept alive by the stories we keep repeating to ourselves. not by the elite who wins on both sides, not by supernatural control grids buried or above, but by culture, habits, learned belief, and unexamined assumptions. You change the story, you change the system. It's not a metaphor as such, it's how social revolutions and movements work. We're not pawns in their game. We're storytellers stepping off the board entirely. I've always stated that no matter how hard you try to fix a broken system built on lies, you can't. That society must walk away from the existing and build a new one. And the only way to do this is if we have the military and the police on our side. Because a system built on lies cannot be fixed from within. It must be replaced, not repaired and patched over. History, psychology, and sociology all agree to this same nation that institutions don't reform themselves. Old power structures protect and have things in place to protect themselves. Real change happens when people create new models and not oppose the old ones. Change has to be civilian-led, peaceful, lawful, and built through unity, never through military or police action. And it's not that police are our enemies. They're humans like us too, but they cannot be the mechanism of societal transformation. For the very simple fact that military involvement equals destabilization. Police involvement, enforcement, not governance. And any alliance with armed forces is a perceivement as a coup. And this therefore creates danger and fear that we do not want. And most importantly, when we choose this road, it is the lesser of two evils. For society to transform, people must release fear and stand together. Civilians, police, leaders, communities, teachers, all of them, in a shared commitment to a new and transparent system built on truth and well-being. If the protectors of society, military, police, and first responders, all align themselves openly with the people, the psychological grip of fear dissolves. Not through revolt, not through force, but through solidarity. When fear collapses, people no longer feel trapped inside the old architecture of the old world. And when people no longer feel trapped, they can walk toward a new system, a new sky, and a new story. And when you think about what the word means in terms of societal structure, it makes sense. Think about learning but differently. Think about everything we've been told to do, all the teachings, all the guidance. Everything is spoken word, memory, ideological views, or schooling. Can be home, can be things taught, but the truth of the matter is taught through culture, heritage, things taught by the ancestors that is slowly being eradicated. The word isn't necessarily just a song or a specific language. It's unity. It's the whole encompassing of what we teach ourselves. It's the environment, it's the code, it's the love frequencies. The problem is we continue to go down this narrative of surrender and fight or capture, and we're not standing together and create a new one. Removing the current system by leaving it behind. No more looking in the rearview mirror. Just letting them be and let them play out in their own misery. Gladly, it's easier said than done, I agree, because in the current state, as mentioned just then, we have the police, we have the fear, we have the brutality that everyone is afraid. How do you create a new system, a new governance? We have so many people. We really need those agents of fear to become human again. And once you see that, people will stand behind them. I can guarantee you, if the military and the police stood protecting humanity on the front line at all the rallies, and they rallied with people towards government, change is happening right now. That is what they are calling for. They are calling for humanity to come together. But we need those people. We write a new story, and people will join and follow. The difficulty is breaking free from all of that, all of the control of money, all of those stories that we've read as a child to now, that unlearning of society. But that's difficult because no matter where we look and see ourselves, we are consistently battered with logos and words and script and frequencies and all of the stuff that keeps us entrapped in it. One of the things I'm going to talk about in another audio stream is logos, which will follow this one. But I wanted to end there, not by time, but by curiosity. Because the word is interesting. It started, it created, but the more we keep saying the word that is not ours, the more we keep the illusion of their reality alive. We need to create a new word, a new story, a new play, where they are the puppets and we are the masters, to a point. So it is with that, I leave you with peace and love. Take care.